Welcome to another episode of the New Labor Movement Show. I am one of your hosts, Troy.
I am the other host, Ray. Good to see you guys again.
You back for another week of local law, labor, and politics. Wanted to look at break down some of the policies of the current administration. Draw a line straight down the middle, and we're just going to put two sides. Have a scale. Either it's going to be either a bad thing or a good thing. Instead of taking an initiative to have the federal government run a particular plan, he had the governors run the relief efforts themselves individually.
I'm split on that. I think that there are certain, based on the style of government we have, federalism, obviously he cannot dictate to governments and governors. So he does have to let some of the governors run some of the own things their own way, based on what the governor sees in his state. That being said, I thought his personal shortcoming, the one thing I would criticize him the most about handing it off to the governors, he probably shouldn't have had everyone bidding for PPE against each other. And, I think that could have been better handled as let the federal government be the buyer for everyone and distribute them out as needed in the states, instead of having him and the states, going for PPE.
Okay, so we're gonna agree that was bad, because my thought is the same thing. If it's something that's a pandemic that's affecting the entire state nationally, you don't give it to the governors in order to say, what do you guys think? The president, you come up with a plan, put a plan in place, and everybody's following this plan. Whether you like it or not, the United States of America is the bellwether. We set the standard as far as everything going forward. I see along the lines is we take the lead on a lot of things, and other countries follow behind what we do. So us having that influence in other states, to have the canary in the coal mine, more or less, to be able to be in these other states and say, hey, what China is doing is not correct. This virus is deadly, and we need to prepare for it ahead of time. If we wouldn't have pulled that funding, we'd have had somebody in place that might have been able to notify the rest of the world that this was coming, and it was much worse than China was letting on to be. To try to save a dollar, to try to pull the funding from there where you pulled a resource because, quote unquote, you didn't see a need for it, and things like this happen. If you would have had those resources in place, they're there for this type of reason. You might not need it on a constant basis, but when you need it more than anything. And pulling that resource away and allowing this to spread like it did, we are the ones that was supposed to be the stopgap. We're the ones with people in those other nations, not any other country. And by us pulling ourselves out, the person that takes the lead on that, it let everything else fall.
So hold on. So is China to blame at all?
China, of course, is to blame if they were. But we know, if that's the case, and we know what China is, why would we pull ourselves out of a situation that we know we have to monitor?
Well, again, I think having a team in one part of the country and having another one going crazy there's no way to see. You're making the assumption that because we're there, we're going to detect something. We missed like SARS, we missed Ebola, we missed a couple things that came out of China until they were already out of China. So yeah.
But not as long. Look how many months that they were able to believe what China was saying. Where if somebody was there, they would have told them, no, that's not the case. This is not what they're saying it is. Even though we would have might came here, I'm not saying we'd have been able to stop it, but maybe it would go into what it was.
Again, always room for improvement. But when you blame Trump for something that China and the World Health Organization and other people all screwed up on, and then they throw a scoop in his lap, could he have handled it better? Yes. But you do realize the initial estimate was supposed to be, we're going to have like 2.5 million people die from this. And one is too many, but we've kept it under 220,000. And again, that's still way too many. Again, I'm always going to say, that it could have been done better, but you can't put 200,000 deaths on him. There's a lot of
listen. we're going to do just this thing then. Them pulling funding away from the teams that are out there to monitor this for specific situation like this coming up. Good thing or bad thing?
I guess I'd have to say by 1% bad thing.
Okay. He praised the opening of the states in contradiction of his administration's recommendations.
You just can't have someone sign away people's freedoms. And it sucks that it's during a pandemic, and I hate it. But in other words, just because there's a pandemic or because something's going on doesn't necessarily mean that someone can just sign away my rights. Now, that's going to be unpopular, but in other words, I don't think that a governor should have the power to say churches can't open or this and that. There has to be some sort of legislative or thought of someone's freedoms to do that. That's just me. A guideline.
But this is, I understand though. If your administration is putting forth the guidelines, why are you telling people to contradict the guidelines that you're putting forward?
I think you'd have to ask him, but I think there were certain states that were doing well enough that he thought that they could open up.
So then, if that's the case, then shouldn't you change your guidelines? Because your guidelines
to me personally, that's up to the state. That's up to the governor. That's not for the administration. The administration says, this is how I would do it. At the end of the day, the governor is the one who makes that ultimate decision for his state. So if you do not like the fact that that state open, you should go to that governor. If you don't like what I'm telling you to do, it's okay. I'm glad that you're not doing it, is what you're saying. Again, maybe he agrees with the governor.
But how's he agreeing with the governor when he is the one saying it's his administration putting the rule out? He's agreeing with someone breaking his own rule.
I take it up with the governor.
So this is more or less you. No. This is it. Agreed with the states violating the rule which he implemented. You believe that's a good thing?
I believe it's up to the governor.
So it's up to the governor.
Most of those states that he praised that opened up, most of them went well for months and months and months until we had the riots and the.
All right, you talk about the after effect. I'm saying what I'm saying is you agree with him praising states that violate the rules that he set in place in order to move forward. You said that's a good thing.
I can't say it any more abundantly clear. Yes. That's
a good thing. Okay.
For me, I agree with the policy. I agree with it.
You can't agree with it either. I mean, that's the most contradictory thing I ever heard, but let's move on.
That's fine. Listen. How about how low the unemployment was before the pandemic? What?
Go ahead. That's the one you want to do. Low unemployment.
Does he get any? I think it's hysterical that he had the lowest unemployment in every single demographic you can imagine. It wasn't any demographic, people who had 3 legs and 9 fingers were at the lowest unemployment rate that in the last 40 years. So he needs to get credit for the economy. Wages rose faster for the bottom 2/5 of the economy, over 3%. I think it was 3% for the whole economy, 4.5% for the lowest 2/5. Also, under his administration before the pandemic, the highest annual household income, lowest unemployment for Blacks, Hispanics, women, teenagers, whites, Martians, Saturn people. I mean, everyone that was all there. We were all going. He had proved that if you lowered corporate taxes, respectively, not crazy, respectively, and kept us competitive, gave 65% of the people in the country a tax break, and you lowered regulations that we could, in other words, you could extend what Obama did and make it better.
No, he did not prove that.
Really?
No.
So then how come he has higher labor participation than Obama did in the last years? His wage growth was better than Obama's. His annual income was better than his. All better. Listen, Obama may have created
all the stuff you just said, maybe because all the stuff you just said is wrong.
Really?
Yes.
Really? So
I have this here, so I should be able to find it easily.
In 2019 wasn't the highest annual household wage at all. It didn't go up $6,500. Hasn't gone up $6,500 since he's been president. Under Obama's whole term, it went up something like less than 15. Now, granted, I have to cut Obama some slack. He did have 4 years where, I think Obama's funny. He likes to he wants to give the first 4 years to Bush. He'll take his middle years, and then he wants to take the good years of Trump. Trump has a different economy than Obama. Obama had way more regulations than Trump did. Trump kept the economic engine running by lowering corporate taxes to a number, believe it or not, it was 28 before Obama. Obama wanted 25. He went like 22 or 23. So it wasn't like he went anywhere crazy.
So I mean, I'm looking for the statistic now, but my understanding is there was more jobs created during the last 3 years of Obama's administration than there were created than the first.
Yes, you want to know how good Obama? You want to know how good? Yes, more jobs were created because there was so many more people on unemployment that as you create jobs, you could find workers. Trump's economy was so good that they had more jobs than they had workers. They had more jobs than they had workers. They couldn't fill all the jobs that they needed because there was so much work.
Okay, so then that also, because that's not the only statistic. Also, statistics. Okay, I need to bring them up because the statistics.
No, you bring them up, buddy. You bring them up.
and this is the point I want to make. Also, the rise of damn it, man. I don't have the statistics in front of me. I need to be able to speak it out. But the growth that it was showing in the economy, as far as the rate of growth, was.
GDP?
Say it again. I don't even like looking at GDP because GDP is a good explanation. I don't know for who. I don't know if it helps. It's an explanation that relates directly to the American workers' pockets or their well-being. So,
well, I like the things. I mean, listen, GDP is out there because the reason why people like us have to pay attention to GDP because it runs the stock market, and all of us have 401ks which are tied up in the stock market. So that's why you have to pay attention. But if you're talking about the average Joe, you want like labor participation, wage increases. I mean, wage increases 3% annually every year under the Trump economy. For the lower 40%, it was 4.2 or 4.5%. The lower guys never had that under Obama. They're just saying.
This is
things will go again. Obama had 3 decent years, 100%. He came out of a recession where, listen, he came out of a recession which was Bush, between Bush and the banks, nearly bankrupted this country, 100%. Right. But let's be honest, the Trump economy, if you get all those years of steady growth, to keep that going is harder than it is to just think about it. If your economy goes in the toilet, it's very easy to start building out of it because anything you do is going to make it better. To keep that going and make it better as it goes along, to me, is a better feat.
So, there's no economy saying that
Trump's economy was. So then, is your stance that Trump had nothing to do with the economy, just pure luck? It was all Obama, right?
I don't think he did anything significant to make it grow. So this is what I see. The growth was happening under the Obama administration, and it continued to grow going into the Trump presidency. What happened when Trump took over? He put in a tax cut that pumped another, what was it, $1.7 trillion into that economy? Something like that into an economy that's already on a growth pattern should supercharge that economy to where people are doing way better than they ever have done before. But all his injection of money into the economy did was keep the growth going at the same steady pace where it increased incrementally over the 3 years he was there. That is not a success to me. That is you basically pumping water into the gas tank. Is going to look like it's full, but eventually that is going to run out. If you can't use a $1.7 trillion injection of money into the economy to create much higher paying wages for the people of that economy and a better overall outcome, no one felt any surge of money or surge of economic empowerment during that administration. All that happened is a lot more people were able to get a lot more lower paying jobs.
I mean, I think it's hysterical. You said, "Wow, guess what? He gave corporations a break, and everyone got more jobs, and everyone's wages went up 3%. What a dick! I mean, come on. What, I mean,
yes,
how else?
Because it didn't happen. I'll tell you why it happened. It didn't happen because he gave corporations breaks. That money went up. I can tell you what did happen. He injected $1.7 million into the economy. Consumers got a small piece of that where they were able to see maybe a $20 increase in their checks weekly.
So in La La Land, you think magically you're going to have Biden's going to come in, all of a sudden our checks are going to double?
No, I don't expect it to double. What I expect is some type of investment in the middle class worker directly, not to the top percent with corporations, and they're going to use it as stock buybacks. When you invest money into the corporation and you invest in higher wages for the people that are working, actual consumers, that's what really stimulates the economy. Not giving money to corporations at the top and hoping that it trickle down to them. Reducing regulation.
So you think that in your worldview, how would you get middle class people more money? Lower their taxes?
No, I didn't say lower their taxes.
Okay.
I said,
how would you get middle class people more money?
By giving them jobs and investing, taxing the money that's going to the rich and the corporations, number one. So that money gets reinvested in infrastructure, which is creating more jobs. The increase in jobs allows, it's called the velocity of money. So if people have more money to spend, especially the regular consumer, middle-class workers, they're going to spend it. That spending of money is what stimulates and grows the economy. When you give money to the top 1% in a corporation in a hope that they will trickle down and pay the workers, if they don't pay those workers, that money is more or less robbed out of the economy. They take it in their savings.
I don't think corporations need to get more money, but if you take the corporate rate of, say, just the average contractor who works in our locals or any local, you tell him you used to pay 28%, now you're going to pay 22%. He now has more money. Most of those contractors who hire the vast majority of the people in this country, small to middle-sized businesses make up like over 95% of the businesses in this country. Corporations make up such a state. Listen, they control a lot of capital, but they only hire 1% of the people in this country. If you go to the average guy who's making 500, a million in his company, he's got an electric company, he's got a plumbing company, whatever, and you tell him your corporate rate's going to go down 6 points, he's most likely going to be able to realize I can bid lower and make more money and get more jobs because I have more wiggle room. I have more wiggle room where I can hire more guys, get more equipment, do this, do that. What you're doing, yes. Do I think you need to give tax breaks to both the multi-billion-dollar companies? No. But
that's what he did.
He gave it to everyone. He gave it to the 25% was a goal. He didn't say 25%.
He might have gave it to everyone, but because you gave me $1 and you gave the other guy 1,000, I'm not happy because you gave me $1. So back to what I was saying, when he did to stimulate the economy, as you call it, was he gave the people who needed it the most, the lowest amount of money. And of course, after you inject money into the economy, no matter what, even though it was a small amount, it was trillions of dollars injected into the economy, spread out over millions and millions of people. So everybody got say a $20 bump in their check. What did that allow them to do? It didn't change their lifestyle in one bit. But what it did allow them to do was, oh, you know what? I can go out and get something on credit now I didn't have before because I'm getting an extra $40, $60 a month. People began to buy more and extend their credit. The amount of debt that people have as far as credit debt increased during that time. So now that the economy is quote unquote moving because people are buying more stuff, of course you need more jobs because now I have more people purchasing. I need to hire more workers in order to be able to facilitate the more consumers that are buying. But that train also is going to run out because that debt is now at another ceiling. And now not only have you created a point where people don't have any more money, they're no more money and they're further in debt. And that's just a train that's going to crash. Instead of taking the money and instead of investing into the top 1%, giving it directly into wages of workers where that would be a sustainable.
Hold on, explain to me how the government is going to tell a company to pay someone more.
Well, they don't have to pay some more. If that's the case, then if they don't want to pay them more, one of the things they want to do is like create infrastructure bills where they're going to give jobs, and they will have government jobs that are going to be paying more than the private companies who won't pay them. So now you have to compete for those jobs, and you have to pay people more. You have to break open that piggy bank that you're trying to keep people from giving them the money, and then start paying them.
All right, so then we'll follow your train of thought. Now I am the government. I now am going to do an infrastructure bill. Correct. Your words, not mine.
Okay.
How am I paying for these?
How are you paying for it?
Yeah.
How you pay for anything on a government thing using tax dollars?
So you can hold. So what you're going to do is you're going to have to raise taxes on who?
The 1%, the top, those same corporations that don't want to raise the rate.
And listen, I hate the 1% just as much as anybody, but there's not enough money in the 1% to pay for. I mean, the top 1% pays something like 600 trillion.
Listen,
600 million. They pay less than,
has the same amount of wealth as the.
Well, wealth and taxes are two different things.
Oh, yeah.
How much they pay in taxes every year is not their wealth.
On their wealth as well.
Oh, so now we're gonna do a wealth tax. Yes. Oh, now I get it.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think?
No. So hold on, and listen. Now you're in a whole different arena. I am Ray Reyes Inc. I'm worth 100 billion. I pay taxes on 100 billion because I pay my taxes. I'm a decent guy. Now
no, you don't. No, you don't. You're a liar. You don't pay no taxes.
Now you're going to come back and you're going to tell me I need a wealth tax on. Now,
why you adding scenarios into the mix that's not true? You know, Ray Inc. don't pay no taxes at all.
Oh, okay.
How about if Ray Inc. paid taxes, we might not have to do the wealth tax.
Oh. How about the fact that maybe, and again, you're looking at the 1%, and no one dislikes the 1% any more than I do, but maybe you do, but about the same. But you also have to realize there's certain realities about that top 1%. Or it's not even the top 1%. It's the top 1/10 of 1%. Those people are going to put their money, they're so rich, they can put their money wherever they want. If business becomes too expensive to do here, if someone tells you that, all right, I didn't pay taxes on I have a $1 billion empire. And now people are going to say, and maybe for whatever reason, I got special interests. And you know what? It's so awesome that I didn't have to pay a single nickel on that. Now someone's going to tell you, guess what? You have 100 billion. You have $1 billion here. Guess what? You're not going to have to pay tax on it. What do you think those people are going to do? Do you think they're going to sit here and pay tax? Or do you think they're going to go someplace else where they can pay a low rate, like most of the EU?
Go ahead and leave. Go ahead and leave. You leave the United States and make sure that you never come back again. Because if you ever come back, I'm taking double the tax now. So if you think you're so good that you can leave this great United States of America, you go ahead and leave, buddy. Just make sure you never come back because you're quote unquote exile now. And if you come back, again, I want double that money.
Okay, again, all well and good. I just think that, that's not the conversation we're having about Trump. I think Trump did something that created more money for more people. He put more money in businesses' hands, which means businesses could hire more people, and more people made personal decisions to do that. Now, some people, when they get more money, they buy stuff. Some people, when they get more money, they invest more. Some people, when they get more money, pay down bills. I understand the theory of velocity of money. I do. But what you're trying to accomplish is the only way to make sure that wages go up and not manipulate the entire economy is you have to have an economy where the price of labor goes up. And there's two ways you make the price of labor go up. Either you have more work or you have less workers. There's no third option.
Well, we have more work is not being done. The infrastructure for this country is crumbling and needs to be done. To the point where they say we don't have enough people trained to be able to do it.
Separate issue, and we agree there. Separate issue, and we agree there. I agree that, first of all, I think Trump is trying to pass an infrastructure bill every year since he's been in office.
Absolutely not.
And he doesn't have the
last infrastructure bill that he could have passed when they said that the impeachment hearings were starting against him. He sat in a room and told them that he wasn't going to speak about it because they were going after him for impeachment. That's how badly he wanted to get an infrastructure bill done.
I mean, would you try and work with people who are try to kick you out of office for something you didn't do?
Yes, I would go after and try
Well,
to.
then
I would try to service the country.
You're a bigger man than me. I'd be like,
Yeah. Yes, I mean, and that's great, and that's I think that's what the kind of the people. That's what when you get elected to be the president of the United States of America, and you're looking at the 350 million people, you're kind of supposed to do that job and look after those 350 million people. And
agreed.
Not you get your feelings hurt.
I can only do the job if I have the job. If you're trying to take the job from me, I gotta defend myself.
No way that job was going to be taken from him.
So then, all right.
Him getting that infrastructure bill had nothing to do with what was going to happen in that impeachment hearing one way or another.
They were not going to vote for that.
To say I'm going to take my ball and go in the corner because you're saying mean things to me is to you.
Wow. I mean, if you want to go in gross generalizations, then yes, that's a good.
Again?
Gross generalizations. I mean, it's amazing. And listen, I have no problem admitting when Mr. Trump makes mistakes, just like when Mr. Biden makes mistakes.
So that's something that you think was a good. He said
no. I think what happens is the thing is you
that they were going after.
No, you take each individual act as if the thing before doesn't dictate the thing next to it, and the thing next to it, and the thing next to it. Listen, there are some things that are standalone. There are so many things though that if I can't get this or if I can't do this, it doesn't allow me to do those. Or if this happens, once I pick this side, all these options are now not given to me just because I can't get that done. Listen. And you're to say that he should then try and pass a bill when they're trying to impeach him instead of defending himself from the impeachment.
Well, how is he defending himself? Like throwing a tantrum and saying I'm not working on an infrastructure bill? How is that defending himself? That's a child throwing a tantrum and saying I don't like what's going on, so I'm taking my ball and going home.
Really? So you think that in your brain that hurt. You think that the impeachment and the bill are two separate entities?
Of course, they're two separate entities. Let me ask you a question. When
I would think that politically they're connected.
When Bill Clinton was under impeachment hearings, did he stop working for the country and said, "I'm not going to be doing the things I need to get done for the country because you're trying to impeach me"?
No, neither did Trump. Trump did many things.
No, he did not. We just spoke. You just said that
that was one
infrastructure bill. He didn't want to work on it, and you agreed that you wouldn't work on it either. You would give him the middle finger.
Well, I would.
Do you remember? Because it was a big story on the news when they went into the office and it was Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi.
That was like a year. That was the year before.
What?
That was the year before.
That was the year.
That was like the first or the second time, and they had a deal in print.
No, that's what I'm saying. Therefore, it was before the impeachment. That was when they were just discussing impeaching him for the first impeachable offense. And that's when he got mad enough where he stopped the talks on the infrastructure bill.
Well, he's a terrible guy. What can I say? Sure.